Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, May 9, 2022. Welcome to my channel. These are my morning thoughts because I'm on my way to work and it's morning. I see my roommate's dog from the window, but hey, Reggie! He's looking at me like, don't leave me here. Well, I hope he's okay. Yeah, today, Monday, May 9, 2022. It's a Monday. Last week I had 2 job interviews. I don't know which job interview is going to materialize into an offer. We'll see what happens. The one was for a phone interview, so I still have to go through another interview probably. Hopefully maybe I can move to the next step. But we'll see what happens. So it's not, life has nothing guaranteed, and it is what it is. You have to take the opportunities as they come. I know that I have an online presence because I like making videos online. I like to have an online presence, especially because like my thing is like in Puerto Rico when I was trying to come out, there were not many. And for those that are new to my channel, so I'm a transgender woman, and I transitioned in 2008, and I transitioned in 2008, and coming out, it was a bit difficult because there were not many people I could identify. So I have my channel because I feel that it's important as a Puerto Rican trans woman to be out there, to be present, so that way others that might be struggling in a similar situation could find somebody that they could maybe relate to, because there are so many things in my culture that are said about trans people that are not true, and that are negative, even towards the general LGBTQ community in Puerto Rico. There are always stigmas and misconceptions that are caused by a culture that is transphobic, homophobic, and the patriarchy too, but also as a culture that also has very strongly held religious belief that thinks that one being trans or gay or lesbian, it's a sin, and that if you are that kind of person, you're going to end up going to hell and yada yada. So there's a reason for me to have this channel, and I know that I talk about my struggles because honestly, also coming from a place where people have a lot of strong religious belief, my struggles coming out were difficult too, because I didn't feel comfortable talking to my parents. I had to, when I came out, I was scared of telling my parents. I knew that in Puerto Rico, when I was kind of like figuring things out on my own, I couldn't even force myself to talk to my parents because I knew they probably would not accept me, And back then, they used to say so many negative things, like nearby, whenever there was a person. And I remember watching one of the first people that I watched on TV was Samantha Love, and when she talked on TV, like I remember my parents saying something super negative about it, and I was like, oh gosh, but at the same time, seeing Samantha Love, for me it was like, I think I'm trans. But telling my parents that, like, will have freaked them out, and then also I was going to a Christian evangelical school, and it was tough, honestly. It was tough, the things that you hear people saying about the community. And so to me, it's important to have this channel, and to me, it's important to have a medium where I can express myself, and then also dealing with mental health too, because mental health in Puerto Rico sometimes is not talked about. And I remember even like when I was younger, like I was feeling kind of like down, all that kind of stuff, and I tell my dad, I'm feeling kind of down, and I don't know what to do. And my dad just said like, well, if you have Jesus Christ, you should not feel down, which is not the right way of dealing with mental health. So yeah, it's it's a lot of stuff. And then moving from Puerto Rico, because I lived in Puerto Rico until 2004, and then I moved to this area of New York in 2004 after I finished my master's degree in civil engineering, environmental engineering in el Colegio de Mayagüez o el Recinto Universitario de Mayagüez. In 2004, so that was also a big change. I left my family, I left my culture. It's a big cultural shock to move to a different place. It's not that different from living in Puerto Rico, It's very similar. There are malls. There are, Puerto Rico people. Some people might think that Puerto Rico is like living in a third world country. It is not. So I hope that you understand that that is not the case. Puerto Rico may be a territory of the United States, and we may have a different language, but for most part, it's almost like living in a different state. Yes, the construction is different, the environment is different, and the culture is totally completely different. A lunch here is a sandwich sometimes, or a slice of pizza. Down in Puerto Rico, a lunch can be arroz con habichuela y pollo, rice and beans and chicken. It's totally different. They're different, but it's not the difference. So for me, it was a bit easier to adapt, but then coming out and finding resources, I found that here where I live, resources for transgender people are more accessible, more available than in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, I was like, how can I make this happen? I don't know where I need to go. Are there places that are open to help transgender people? And I was afraid that finding a place in Puerto Rico was going to be very difficult because, like, if you come out or something like that, they could send you to they may not have the resources. I think one of the resources were probably more in San Juan, which was not very local to where I was living. So I didn't know where to go. I'm honest, totally completely honest. I didn't know where to go in Puerto Rico, and that was one of the problems down there. But in here it was a little bit more easier for me to transition. But also it took a while for me to finally, after I moved from Puerto Rico to here, to finally be able to find the right place to go and find where I needed to go, because I was still kind of like concerned about losing everything, And when you transition, and I feel like transition, the people tell me like, oh no, because there's some discrimination, yada yada. There's trans women that have achieved a lot of like power and that kind of stuff, In my case, it was different because I was in my entry level career. I was not all set up. I didn't have, I was not where I wanted to be, so things didn't work out for me the way that they needed to work. And even now, I feel like I'm stuck in my career. I'm trying to getting back into engineering, but there's hesitancy, I'm not meeting the norm of femininity because I'm not very feminine myself. I admit it. Like, I barely wear makeup. And I know that makeup is one of those things that a lot of women do. And I sometimes don't like wearing a lot of makeup, But that doesn't stop me from being me, It's who I am, And even in real life, some woman may decide not to wear makeup, Why not? Who cares? You're still you, And especially when it's like, oh, I'm just going to go to work. I don't think I need to wear makeup. I really don't care about makeup. I'm not interested in dating any of my coworkers, honestly. Like, no. So, no makeup. I break the rules of gender. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. If you want to wear makeup, wear makeup. If you don't, you don't. Period. Don't chastise others for not wanting to wear makeup, honestly. But I feel like I have lost a little bit of. It has become a little bit more difficult to get into certain areas like engineering. I would love to get back in engineering, but being a trans woman and a woman, and specifically, like, there's still a little bit of bias, especially a woman in science. I didn't realize that Like in Puerto Rico, to me, it was different because I saw a lot of women pursuing chemical engineering. So there were a lot of women that were studying chemical engineering at the major that I decided to go. Although, yeah, like I have said in previous videos, I want to go for computer engineering. But there were a lot of women that were studying chemical engineering. I come here, there's PI, and it struck me that there were not as many women as there were in Puerto Rico in the field of engineering, even in science, even in automotive management and automotive mechanic. Like that's something that is really sad. Less than that, to say that there's less trans women that actually may consider pursuing a career in science, you know. I do like science, so I pursue a career in science, yeah. And that includes also sometimes like reading things about biology too, even though I'm not a biologist. But coming from my background in chemical engineering, where I had to take a lot of chemistry classes, so there are certain parts of biology that are easy for me to understand, and that's why I like reading stuff, and that's why kind of like my position towards people that don't understand trans women or don't understand how the effects of hormones on transgender people. I kind of feel sorry for them because, like, okay, there's people that are talking shit about trans people that don't understand, and it's upsetting and it's annoying, and I wish they could understand better. And the knowledge that I have from chemistry is something that has helped me understand things better. You know, they like the things that some of the arguments that the people that argue against trans women in sport makes no sense when you understand the chemistry of like how things work. You know, but they always want to say like basic. You know? It's sad. Anyway, but that is the reason why I have this channel, because I want to be there, I want to be present, and I want to maybe provide, somebody that is looking to transition, maybe they don't feel comfortable because they don't know what is out there, what to expect. So maybe if I'm watching my channel, it's like, oh, okay, so yeah, I can probably be like this person who likes to do wrestling and play table tennis and Dungeons and Dragons, and also has a freaking clown puppet, and I can be like that person, you know, like I or that likes engineering, but you know, I think I can relate a little bit, you know. So maybe they can find I don't want to say a role model because I'm not a perfect human being and I don't consider myself a role model, but somebody that they can identify and say like, hey, there's nothing wrong with me. It's okay to be me. So that's what I want people that are figuring themselves out to understand, that hey, it's okay to be me. And also people that are trying to learn more about trans people, whether they're debating whether they want to support a trans person or not. Look, we come from all walks of life, and we are different, and we're unique in our own ways. There's not like a one way of being trans, and I want people to know that hey, we do exist. We are your co-workers, we are the people that you interact on a daily basis, and it's okay for us to be ourselves, and we have the right to be ourselves, and we should appreciate and treat people that are trans with respect. That's what I want them to understand, that the world is bigger than what you see sometimes out there, you know. And I want to understand the struggle also too that trans people like me experience sometimes, because I think some of the struggles that I experience is totally unfair, you know. Discrimination, yup, everybody should have the right to work, and nobody should be discriminated for who they are when they go and apply for a job. So that is one of the other things. In my case, double, because I know I have my accent, and maybe there's people out there that discriminate people based on the accent that they hear, because they think, oh my god, this person has an accent. Are they really going to understand things? Like, you know, there's bias. There's bias for people having an accent. Whether people want to admit it or not, there's bias, you know. It's called what they called in one of the books that I took when I went for business administration, interviewer bias, or so there's bias from some people, and the bias is because of wrong assumptions, that people make about other people just because of who they are, So it's always better not to make assumptions, and if you're not sure, it's okay to ask politely, because you don't want to make bias. Assuming like, oh, football, or like if you're, or because of the fact that I'm Puerto Rico, one of the things that I hate the most is like when, as a Puerto Rican, it's like when people that you're from Puerto Rico, so you like spicy food, like, it's like, I do like spicy food because I like spicy food, but don't necessarily because it's part of my cuisine, because it's really not like that. So those kind of things that, as a person, you have to clarify sometimes so that way people can understand. And that's why I have this channel. So yeah. Anyway, I'm getting closer to work and I want to finish my coffee. So I think that's a good point to stop for today. I would love to try to make more videos in Spanish, because I feel like there needs to be, I want to outreach to Puerto Rico, my channel. So I'm going to probably make a video in Spanish, and we'll see where things go, but I have to go to work. Anyway, peace out everybody, stay safe, and have a great day.